Hi girls, this is a quick little video on how to set up a still life for yourself. We're going to keep it really simple. I'm just going to run down some things that are also on a document that's in the topic. But first off, the subjects you pick, like simple objects, two simple objects. So some possibilities are things like an egg, because it has a nice simple round shape. Light colored objects like a mug or a cup that you like, maybe a small ball, something off your dresser that's not too complicated, like that was on my dresser. I thought about this, I thought about this. I didn't pick any of those for different reasons. I ended up just picking that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about setting this up, even though it's like, a bowl and an egg. But you'll notice that I've done a couple of things here. First of all, I've put a white piece of paper underneath of the objects, and I put a white piece of paper behind them. And the wall over here is solid, although I'm not even really including it. If you can set up your objects with a simple plain background, I think that's what you want to do. And if you pick a mug or something, like your favorite cup or mug or bowl, if it doesn't have a print on it, just makes it easier. So the next thing I'm going to think about is lighting. I happen to have a little clip light here, but any lamp will do. You can set up a little still life and have a lamp next to it. Just make sure where you're setting up your still life, you have an outlet nearby so that you can set up the light. So you see that I have a light that's a little bit above the subject and like kind of going on the side. If it might even be better if my light was like a little lower and kind of dragging across diagonally that way, but this is fine. It was already there and this corner was empty, so I'm using it. So the next thing you might notice, okay, I've got a plain background, I've got a light set up. Again, you want to set this up near an outlet and where you can have like a plain backdrop behind it and plain white paper underneath of it, so that you can really see the shapes and the values against the white background. Just makes it easier. Okay, so the next thing is how I arranged the objects. It might seem silly, like two objects, but drawing them separate. First of all, the eggs rolling around, I'll talk about that in a second. But you want it so that these two objects are like overlapping each other, and not totally like the eggs in the center like that, a little bit off, so I can see a little bit of the egg peeking out from behind the object, and it's overlapping on top in front of the bowl a little bit. The other thing you'll notice, my table is not exactly level, so I took a tiny crumb of kneaded eraser and stuck it onto the bottom of the egg so that I could kind of control. I'm not going to draw that wad of kneaded eraser, but it's helping to keep the egg from rolling away. So if you have that problem, that's one little solution for it. And just something like that is as easy as it, simple as it needs to be. So you want the objects overlapping. You don't want empty space in between the objects. And then for photographing, you want to be a little further back from your objects, not as close as like this, because the camera distorts and it ends up making it harder, I think. So if you go a little further back and take your photograph, then you can crop it after you take it. And I actually turned, here, let's see if I can do it in the video. I turned my camera upside down when I took my photograph because it changed the point of view of the lens on the camera, and I felt like it was less distorted. Maybe that was my imagination. I don't know if that'll be true for you or not. After you take the photo, we're going to crop it so that we don't see the floor in the front here, and we're going to get rid of most of it. When I crop my photo, I want to make sure I include all of the cast shadow behind it, because that's part of this shadow cast from the object is like part of the object itself. So I'm going to also include my still photos in the topic, because I edited mine and made them black and white, which you can do too. You could draw from life. I could sit here and just draw this as I see it, or I can draw from a photograph of it And who are we kidding here? Drawing from a photograph is easier than drawing from life. So if you want to make that shortcut for yourself, I'm not going to stop you from doing it. I think that's how I'm going to do it. Also, turning it black and white is an option too in the editing. And as I said in the notes in the document that is posted, you would maybe want to use the monotone or the mono edit versus the silver tone edit or the noir edit. Each of those black and white options has kind of a different effect. And the idea is that you're keeping as many shades of gray as you can. And I think the mono edit does that the best. But you don't have to use any of them, just a suggestion. Okay, I think that'll do it for this little video.